Hey, what's going on, y'all? So I decided to go ahead and do a like a wheel information video. I know there's a lot out there, but I figured I kind of do my take on it. So I have this LM GT4. This is a 18 by 9.5 as shown, with an offset of 30. In terms of finding information on a wheel, it will always, well, I would say most of the time it will be in the back. It could either be in the hub area, in these areas, or on the flat surface. As you can tell, the offset was on the flat mounting surface. Other wheels, you will see it on the spokes. And then the really high-end wheels will always have it as a sticker. So let me show you some other examples. So this is a Volk SE37K. As you can kind of see, just like the LM GT4, you got the diameter and you got the width. You got the offset, a little bit hard to see, but you can see the 12 right there. And of course, these high-end wheels will also have the sticker, 18 by 9.5, offset 12. And you can also see other information like where it's made, the certifications that the wheels may have gone through. And then you may see patterns like these. This is actually 5 by 114.3, but because of like the mold, sometimes they'll have it with other patterns. So that can be kind of misleading, but we're not going to focus too much on that. We're just going to focus on the offset and the width and rim diameter. Here goes an OE wheel. This is an OE S2000 wheel. As you can kind of see, this one has the information on the spoke, and the layout on this one is different. It's got the diameter, the width, and then the offset all together. So this is very convenient in reading. But it could be in any format. So just definitely look carefully. Yeah, so after that, say if your wheel doesn't have that information, like how do you do the measurements to figure it out? Right, so to kind of make it easy, so we know that this wheel is a 9.5, right? The width should always be measured from inner flange to inner flange. And this is because the tire bead only mounts to the inside, not the outside. So I went ahead and converted 9.5 inch to millimeters. That ends up being 241.3. And as you can see from my tape measure, you got 241. With the human eye, we can't really see the tenth, but that kind of matches. You see a lot of people who try to measure the rim width from outside flange to outside flange. And as you can kind of see, that ends up being 10.5 inch. That's because the flange adds half an inch on each side. So that's not the correct way. As I mentioned, the tire bead mounts on the inside, so it's always inside, inner flange to inner flange. All right, so with width out the way, what about offset? Offset is always kind of thought of from the center, right? So we know that this width is 241.3. So if I took half of that, that's 120.6. So half of this wheel, dead center, is considered 0. Any wheel in the center is always 0. So I kind of gave a reference, right? So in the positive direction towards the face of the rim, the face, this is going forward, is always positive. So you can see this is 12 millimeters forward. This is, that's plus 12. This is 30. This is considered plus 30. If you go in the opposite direction, towards the back of the barrel, it becomes negative. So you can kind of see here, that's negative 12, that's negative 30. So that's kind of how you read offset. So say your wheel doesn't have any information, how do you figure out offset, right? So I just showed you how to measure the width. So you start with the width, then whichever way is the easiest to kind of like measure up to the back of the mounting portion of the hub. I'm gonna do it from the front down. So what I'm gonna do is measure down all the way up to the flat surface. So because of the camera angle, it might be hard to see, but this is roughly about 102, right? So 102, kind of predid some of the math. So let me show you guys. So we had already talked about this. So 102 from the ground to the face of the hub. I mentioned that the rim edge thickness is going to be half inch on each side, right? So half inch is going to be about 12.7, and just as a reference guide, 1 inch equals 25.4. So half of that is going to be 12.7. So what you do is, I'm going to subtract that. So 102 minus 12.7 gives me 89.3. So again, I mentioned that everything is referenced to center, right? So center is 120.65. So now I take 120.65 minus my measured 89.3, and I get 31.35, which is pretty close to my 30 millimeter offset, right? You know, these measurements are always going to be a rough method to find the wheel's offset, just because rounding and what the eye can actually measure. So, you know, taking into account human error. But I hope this is kind of helpful and a little bit different from all the other videos. Thanks again, guys.